we get people asking us about that all the time. Are my rates going to go up? And my discount for not filing a claim ever, congratulations. You know, this roof is $20,000. You're paying your deductible, which is $1,000 or whatever it is. That's what you pay. Insurance will cover the rest with it. It's just educating the homeowner.
Right.
Your rates are going to go up in those wind or hail areas with it because everyone else is filing claims. It goes up every year. So yes, your rates are going to go up if you file a claim or not.
Welcome to RCS Radio, brought to you by RCS Roofing. I'm Michael Morris, Ben Kitchen. Ben, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Are you well rested from the first show?
I am.
I normally on the first show don't bring up that it's the first show because I want people to think there's more of it. But now we can bring up as if it's not the first show. How about that?
It was great.
They won't even know what order it's in.
No, you're great. Thank you so much, radio host.
So, I did host a home improvement show for 5 years on radio stations. And thankfully, due to COVID, we could just be in here in Nate's studio. We don't have to go anywhere. I wanted to talk to you about, so we got into your background, how you got into this and all that. What I want to do is I want to focus more on the customer that you're dealing with every day. And I want you to kind of walk me through from nuts to bolts how it goes. And I know everyone is different, but you get that phone call. What the initial phone call is, I heard of you, or I was referred, blah, blah, blah. Let's just say they were referred. How do you handle that phone call when it first comes in? What's the immediate need?
And that's exactly what I'm asking. What is it that I can help you with? What are you looking for? And when do you need us out there? A lot of times they want us out there yesterday. They had a leak going on, and typically it's after a rainfall that we'll be getting a lot of these calls, or a windstorm, or a hailstorm. We'll be getting calls because they want it to just be assessed. They seen some shingles blowing off their neighbor's yard into their neighbor's yard. It may be theirs, may not be. It's just good to get it checked out.
But the customer has seen it.
Yes.
So now their thing is, I want you up here. How do you qualify? I'll give an example. Is I used to deal with a person that did windows, siding, and that kind of thing. And this guy decided he wanted to be a handyman. I mean, this is a multi-million-dollar company.
Yeah.
So he changed all the radio commercials to, we'll do anything. We'll fix anything. He even put, I say this to you all the time, we're not fixing screen doors. I got that because the guy literally changed my commercial to, even if you've got a broken screen door, we'll come out. And I said to him, do you realize you're going to send somebody out for $17 that's making $40 an hour to fix that screen door? It sounds nice if we're in some small town in Tuscaloosa, but when you sell $5,000 to $10,000 systems, you're identifying the wrong problem. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You've got to identify what that person needs. That customer doesn't really know what the damage is. So they've just called in because either they're panicking or I'm angry and I want it fixed.
Absolutely.
So when you've taken that call, they've said, this is what I'm looking at. What's the next step that you have to go to?
You got to check it out. So get the first and last name, their phone number, physical address, and their email. Then I'll send it off to one of my inspectors. We'll take a look at it. We'll see what's going on. They're calling because a lot of people are scared of heights. They can't climb a ladder.
The customer won't get up there?
Yeah, they're like, look, I see something weird. I want to at least get it checked out. I'm concerned. I don't want to climb on a ladder. Can you please help me out?
The average person that calls you, what's their age, would you say? Are they over 40?
I would say my average customer is between 30 and 50.
Okay.
You know, that's pretty much the bread and butter.
The majority of them are females that are calling you.
Yes.
Is it, when I was married, thank God I'm not. That's a little shout out to my ex-wife. Enjoy the show. What I would do is during work hours, she would like even make my doctor's appointment. And I was like, no, I'm not going to go to the doctor. Like, I don't want to go. So when there was an issue with the house, she would call on it and then tell me, here's who is coming out here. So even when I had my direct TV, like I wanted it, I called and she scheduled that. Are women still in charge of everything? I don't know a way to phrase it without being insulting.
It's so funny because even for like the projects that I have going on around my house, I have my wife handling it.
And you're in that business and she's doing that.
And she's doing it. And,
why do you think that is? Not in a business level, just as man to man. Why do you think that is?
I think we're just built differently, right? Like we're wired differently. We're looking at different things. Some things excite us. I just want to know how much is it going to be and when is it going to be done?
It's like every time that you give somebody a proposal, if I give it to a woman, she will actually read the proposal. Every guy, including you, flips to the last page and just goes, well, that's what it costs. And it doesn't surprise me. But the whole time I'm like, do you know how much money I could have saved by not printing this?
Yeah.
And especially if they're like 5 people are going to be in this meeting. I'm killing all the trees near Stanford's campus so that you guys can look at the last page. But women actually will ask those questions.
They'll ask the questions that matter. They're very detail oriented, and that's what's great. And that's why, like, I trust my wife's decision because she's going to make a better decision than
Do you trust her more than you trust yourself? I don't mean
Absolutely.
that. Okay. Because
I
would
married her. That's why I married her, because
she doesn't know that's a reason. Like she thinks you love her. You needed someone to make a decision.
She makes the best decisions.
She might watch this. She might want to say, hey, I love you, blah, blah, blah.
She knows what's good. Like, she knows I'll be coming home to her every night, but she takes,
probably because she has the keys. She knows you have to come home.
It was love at first sight, brother. It was love at first sight. I've got a great story about it. It is.
Well, what better time to tell it than right now?
So I met her in college, Kent State. Thank you. But I met her playing beer pong at my fraternity house, and it was a social with another sorority. And she was across the table, and they were setting up and getting their teams together. And I had a ton of homework, so I wasn't there, but I came down after a couple hours, and I was like, who's this chick here? Who is she? This blonde hair, blue eyes.
Who's this lovely gal in the corner over there doing a keg stand?
I looked at one of my fraternity brothers, Bob, and I was like, dude, I'm going to marry this chick. I haven't spoken to her. I haven't even talked to her. And I was like, I'm going to marry this girl. I introduced myself, and we just hit it off immediately. And it's been roses ever since.
I cannot imagine knowing how you are, but you walked over. You were going in for the clothes right away.
I went in for the clothes.
Guess what? The rest of your life is spoken for, and eventually we're going to have a roofing company out of our house.
I wouldn't be able to put money on that bet, but it's everything happens for a reason. It's found its way into my life.
She helps with the business too, right? Does she ever? I mean, I know she does some stuff on the back end to help you, but do you ever? I think you have one other woman that works for you, right? I mean, I'm thinking of when a woman calls in. You said this before that you want to talk to who sounds like you or looks like you or thinks like you.
Absolutely.
So if it's all men that are answering that phone, I didn't know if sometimes you're like, hey, maybe she'd be better off talking to my wife or somebody else that's still here.
And eventually if you call RCS Columbus, you're going to get me. I'm going to field all the calls for right now. I don't have the best voice out there with it, but eventually I'll have some more people to help answer these phone calls with it. But right now, I just want to make sure that everyone's getting taken care of and it's getting set up to the right, the inspection's going to the right person that's qualified for it.
So if let's just say it's a woman calls in and you've taken that call, you get their name, rank, serial number. What's the next thing that happens in the process? Like you just you see the roof before you start asking about insurance information and all that other stuff? Or do you have to know that before you go out?
I don't need to know that because we have to find damage on the roof first before we even can consider options with the homeowner. So we have to first inspect it and then qualify it, meaning is there any missing shingles? Is there any hail hits on this? Is there any wind damage shingles with it? Is there any wind damage, windstorms in the last year or hailstorms in the last year? Because every insurance company is different too. So we have to know, and then we'll go down, we'll, explain to the homeowner exactly what it is that we found and then give them their options. all right, yes, your roof is 20 years old, has some hail damage on it, has some wind. There's actually a couple reports that are out there that there was 100-mile-an-hour storms. There was quarter-inch or quarter-size hail hits. There's a good chance that you're going to get this approved through insurance, or hey, we should go retail on this. You know, we're going to give them the benefit. We're going to give them the options to choose.
So why would somebody not use their insurance? Because they don't want they don't want to get dinged on their insurance. Like if they said, I'll just pay it as out of pocket, is it to avoid their rates going up? Is that the only reason they do it that way?
I think that if you're seeing a lot of roofs going up in your neighborhood and you start asking your neighbors what's going on and how did you get this roof done, and they explain to them that they got it done through their insurance company, why do we have insurance? What do we, my dad told me when I banged up my first vehicle, he's like, I don't want to file insurance. My rates are going to go up. I'm like, okay, but isn't that why you have insurance? So that you can fix the issues that we have. Right. But that was, that's old school mentality.
Well, that is, so if you went back the 50s, 60s, 70s, you had insurance in case. The other thing was the guilt.
Yes.
Right? I can't believe I have to make a claim. I remember my parents having an issue, and the last thing they wanted to do was call the insurance guy who he lived like a block away. He would have known by driving by there's damage there, but it was almost like I feel bad because I'm going to hurt that company. Yes. And I think that is
feeling bad.
Now I don't think it's as big a deal because I don't think there's that. I think that we associated branding like State Farm or whatever, the Century 21 Blazer. You got to call them. They're the only ones that know how to sell a house.
No claim discount.
Yep.
It's like, I don't want to. And that's where, we get people asking us about that all the time. Aren't my rates going to go up? And my discount for not filing a claim ever. Congratulations. This roof is $20,000. You're paying your deductible, which is $1,000 or whatever it is. That's what you pay. Insurance will cover the rest with it. It's just educating the homeowner.
Right.
Your rates are going to go up in those wind or hail areas with it because everyone else is filing claims. It goes up every year. So yes, your rates are going to go up if you file a claim or not. And,
well, that is a good point. They do go up no matter what.
No matter what. They're going up.
But if you look at insurance commercials, it's all about you can bundle and save and bundle. And I think that's why I think there's that. I don't feel bad about using my insurance now because you've made it a commodity, not something that you rely on.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like, I'm covered. I feel good about it. Do you even know what your policy reads in there? We deal with a lot of insurance companies, great ones and ones that are not so great, but we won't mention them. However, do you know what's inside your policies? Have you talked to your agent? Have you read them? Understand your policies before you sign up for them. That's the biggest thing I can tell anybody with it, because if you have if you have a mortgage, you have a homeowner's policy, and that right there, you better look at it because people go with the cheapest rate. Well, that cheapest rate can give you a 3% deductible, 1%, 2%, 5,000, whatever. And that might be half of your roof after all said and done. We had one this past year in Plain City with this quarter-inch hail and shout out to Plain City. If you guys are out there listening, I promise you, give us a call. Let us do an inspection out there. You guys had quarter-inch hail in that area, and especially in that Minerva Park in Etna, marble size hail, but enough damage to at least have it inspected and see what's going on. But know your policies. This guy had a $750,000 home with a 3% policy on that. So meaning 3% of the value of his home, which they considered it $750,000. I don't know the math on it, but it was over $20,000. And his roof was like $35,000. So it was like not even really worth it to even file a claim per se, considering the actual deductible itself and going through that process. So yeah, know your policies, know what's going on, understand it, and know how to use it. And that's where we educate homeowners is, hey, look, this is how we would go about the steps of it. Do you know your policy with your insurance? Talk to your agent, let them go over it, and then make that decision on if you want to file a claim or not.
I'm thinking about it. If I was the customer and now you've said to me what you just said, where you don't know your policy.
99% of people out there do not know.
Well, that's what I was saying. Listen, the only reason I knew anything about my insurance policy is because I used to do a radio show with a lawyer who literally just went after insurance companies. Like, I don't mean like a Bob Juniper, which that name means nothing if you're not in Columbus, but where they would attack insurance companies. That's not what he did. It was after you were in an accident, then he's going after the insurance company for the money. But I had no idea what was in my policy, and we were doing the show like live.
Yeah.
And he would forget I'm not a lawyer. And he would go, well, what's in your policy? Do you have an umbrella policy? And I literally was like, who's going to steal my umbrella? What the hell does that mean? So I thought I better say something smart. And I just said, no. And so he says to me, he's kind of explaining that for the difference of $50 a month, it could cover everything. State Farm used to do a commercial where somebody had his motorcycle and his boat in his garage. I don't know who has that big in a garage. And something hit and destroyed the whole garage and everything in it. That was the example of an umbrella policy.
Yeah.
But most people don't know that you can add that on.
Oh, they were just told that they have to get a policy. Right. So they go online and look up policies because they have a mortgage and they're so excited about buying their home. They're like, give me something affordable. I've already spent a ton of money on getting my first house and my payments. Just give me something cheap.
Yeah, they're looking to save money somewhere.
Don't do that.
But at that point, let's say that their coverage is not good enough for what you've got to do. Now you have to put out another fire, right?
Yes.
So how do you go about that?
So
because you got to calm them down and go, look, this isn't going to work here, but here's our method of how we could fix it.
When you say fire, are you talking about like they're not paying for the whole thing?
I just mean that the coverage, it's a $10,000 job and their coverage is going to give them $2,500.
Yeah.
What I mean by fire is more the temper tantrum that could come from this, where you go, look, that will only cover X, but this needs done and it's going to have to come out of pocket. Do you get those instances where you have to kind of like, you kind of almost have to be like a counselor at that point?
This part of it is what I love so much about what we do. If we're going the insurance route with the homeowner, that right there is a situation where we have to go into some technicalities. So, for example, it's a $10,000 claim and they're only paying for one slope, meaning one side, one section of the house, of the roof. And that was $2,500. They're paying for 100 shingles or whatever it is. Well, in the insurance process, in the state of Ohio too, the reasonable comparable appearance code comes into play. Ohio does not want to put checkerboards on your home. They don't want to put mismatching shingles on your home. They want it to look uniform. And that is where the gray area comes into play. And knowing who your contractor is and knowing if they know enough to help you get this, to make sure that they're covering the roof. So we pull a shingle, we send it into a lab to get tested. They're going to tell us if the shingle is still being made or not. And if it's discontinued, we're going back to the adjuster and we're saying, hey, look, here's the shingle that we pulled off. It's discontinued. We're writing up for a full replacement because it's not going to match no matter what. And there's a couple ways. It's either not matching, it's not being made anymore, or it's too brittle to get to be repaired. It's just not going to be repairable. So once we get all that information with it, our conversion rate is very high. It's doing the right thing for the homeowner, and the insurance companies honor that. They actually will go ahead and approve that information. And that'll take care. And then the customer's like, I can't believe that. Is this fraud? I feel like this is like fraud or something. Like
this
can't
show
believe
does not encourage fraud. I personally encourage fraud, but not this company and not this show. I just want to put that out there.
And they're just like literally like in awe. They're like, thank you so much. I didn't even know. I can't believe you guys were able to do that. And that right there, that's that customer service that I'm talking about that gives us those referrals, gives us those new opportunities with their friends, their family, their neighbors. And now we put on a beautiful roof. We just added a huge amount of value to their home, which gets extended to the new homeowner if it was ever to be sold. Because we give lifetime warranties on our shingles, by the way.
Did you just lean into the microphone to give a plug?
Just get a little shout out.
Because I hadn't seen you rock forward, and you're like, and just so you know, you can go. But I'm glad you did. So you've taken care of the issue with a customer, insurance or not. What do you get out of that?
I get
obviously you get paid, but I mean, do you ever just drive by them and just kind of look and go, "I did that"?
Oh my gosh, I'll be riding around, and we're based out of Pickerington, east side of Columbus, and we've done a lot of roofs out there so far this year. Is it roofs or roofs? What do you? I mean,
so listen,
I'm from northern.
Yes, but you went to Kent, so as them roofs. In Columbus, we would call it a roofing spectacular. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I don't know the difference either because
is it roof? You guys can tell me. You guys can
cheap
tell
plug
us
for roofcolumbus.com. What I would say is I don't know the difference. That's terrible as somebody that writes copy for a living. So anytime I can just say a roof or roofing, when you're going to go, you can choose anyone to do your roof versus anyone can do roofs. I don't know. So I just want to like convert it to roofing or roof. We probably sound really dumb that we don't know that.
You know, from being from Cleveland, the dog pound, we go, woo, 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 woo. I'm sorry, all those Bengals fans out there in the.
Well, they don't have any cool chants. Well, they have Who Day.
So it must be a roof.
I guess, but I'm trying to think what is there? I don't think there's a plural for roof.
But I say
it's like nothing rhymes with orange. I'm so glad we went down this path because now I'm thinking about like, how do you say that?
Well, people will be like, dude, where's this guy from? Because I'm originally not from Columbus, but people know my accent, which is, I feel like it's a normal accent. Even when you're in television, they're like, you need to sound more like people that talk from the Midwest. You know, they like want to change the way you enunciate.
But at least you don't say yins like people from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Yins guys over here.
They got a whole different language over there.
It's a different dialect. It's a lot of coal mines and Marlboro's no filter. But to go back to roofs, so you've got that done, and then you get to like, is that a win? Like,
it's a great feeling because we're starting to see a lot of roofs go up in the areas that we are working. And I think we've got like 15 cities we're working in Columbus now, Plain City, even in Zanesville, all the way down to Zanesville.
How far will you go?
About 100 miles central, like from central Columbus. So 100 miles here, like all the way up from Columbus. You know, we're going to Marysville, going to Mansfield. We're going to Zanesville. So we can tackle a lot of the areas. It's really just about making sure our customer service can be there for any issues that we ever run into. So
but you would take a call from someone. So say somebody heard of you that's in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
You wouldn't necessarily do that job. But if somebody said, hey, this is what I'm seeing, and I have some pictures, but I trust you because I've heard of you.
Sure.
Would you still take that phone call?
Absolutely. If I can at least give them some information on it and help them make a good decision with the contractor that they, just so now moving forward, qualifying a contractor and asking the questions like, how long have you been in business? And what's your warranty on your products? And how fast can you get this done? Are your subcontractors, do they have liability insurance? Are they workers' comp? Just making sure they're checking the boxes. Are you with the Better Business Bureau? Just everything that you should have just for doing good business, making sure that people know and can see you. You know, you're out there, you're willing to, and even if you haven't been in business that long, because I'm not, like 3 years is nothing. but making sure that whoever you're talking to knows their stuff. I can't tell you how important that is. Even like when I was going up against competition with a homeowner, and they're like, I looked at 3 different contractors, and I just liked you and kind of how you presented it, regardless of how many people were out there and established businesses and stuff like that. So make sure that they care about your job and they treat you with respect and they know their stuff. So ask those questions, ask those qualifying questions with anybody that you're getting in bed with. Honestly, do some research, because there's a lot of contractors out there. Choosing the right one and feeling good about it. When you met them, did you like the vibe? Give them a vibe check.
You want to see if they have that Riz?
You just need to be comfortable with who you're doing business with.
I know it's a hard thing on the way out, but since the show is almost over, but if you could summarize, how would you get that feeling? How do you know who you could trust? You as a consumer or the consumers you've talked to, what would you say? That's what I'm looking for. That's the answer I want, or that's the way they're talking to me. What would give you the ultimate confidence to choose somebody?
I just think that you don't want to force communication. When you talk, there should be a response. It's not a yes, no. You need to have details, and you need to have details with your answers. You need to go into detail to paint a vision. Every time I'm done with a conversation with somebody with it, I want to make sure, in the art of rhetoric, that they understand in their head what I am saying, which is a difficult talent to have, honestly. It's not easy to do, but if you practice it day in and day out, you can be very good at persuasion. You can be very good at painting that picture and giving them a solution within it. Like, hey, he showed me exactly how to go about it in a way that I understand it, and breaking it down. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to tell you crazy words that mean absolutely nothing to you. I'm going to simplify it, because when we're going about business, if we're going insurance or going retail with it, there's a lot of detail that needs to be said. I need to know that we are crystal clear, and I'll feel good about it when I'm done explaining myself, and I feel good about it if they could explain it or tell me exactly what they wanted, and we can have a collaboration, because I can't go to business for you if you don't understand what I am telling you, because it's a partnership to get these things done. I need to make sure that we check in every single box with each other. And at the end of the day, if there's any questions, I need to make sure you're following up with them. But I need to make sure that you know how to communicate. I'll ask you, phone calls better or text messages? But we need to have all those things, that foundation set every single time before I leave. And if they're not, then I'm not comfortable. I may not be a good fit for them. So that right there I'll know exactly, how was your conversation with so-and-so? I felt great. They asked a lot of questions. That way I know they're engaged. And based on that, I was able to give them the information needed for the next step, or not.
Well done today.
Thank you.
We got a couple under our belt. We're going to keep going. Thank you for listening to RCS Radio, brought to you by RCS Roofings.